The morning sun cast long shadows across Kangdaeho's rice fields. At 53 years old, his body still moved with purpose, each motion shaped by decades of military training and hard work. His hands, rough from farming, guided the tools, with the same care they once handled weapons. Daeho paused, wiping sweat from his brow. 20 years had passed since he left the military, trading the battlefield for these peaceful fields in rural South Korea. Here, the only sounds were birds, wind, and occasionally his daughter Jiwoo visiting from her research lab in Seoul. That peace ended at exactly 9:17 a.m. on a Tuesday. First came the sound, a high-pitched whine that made Daeho's old combat instincts flare. Then the wind picked up, swirling dust into miniature tornadoes across his property. The rice plants bent under an invisible pressure as something massive displaced the air above. Daeho dropped his tools and stood straight, eyes narrowed at the sky. A dark shape appeared, blocking the sun. Not a cloud, not a plane. Something else. "What the hell?" he muttered, backing away slowly. The object, clearly a ship of some kind, was sleek and silver, shaped like a teardrop with strange blue lights pulsing along its hull. It hovered 50 feet above his largest rice field, the plants below flattening from its engines. Daeho's mind raced through possibilities. Military test craft, foreign surveillance. Nothing made sense. No human aircraft moved like this. A seam appeared in the bottom of the ship. Light spilled out and a ramp extended downward. Daeho held his ground, fists clenched, ready for whatever emerged. What stepped out was not human. The being stood about 7 feet tall with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. It wore what looked like armor, though it seemed to flow and adjust with every movement. Its face was vaguely humanoid, but with large, entirely black eyes and no visible mouth. Daeho's heart hammered in his chest, but he stood firm. 20 years of peace hadn't erased his soldier's courage. The creature raised its upper right hand in what seemed like a greeting. Then, to Daeho's shock, it spoke in perfect Korean. "Kang Daeho of Earth, I am Taeyang, emissary of the Galactic Confederation. I come with a matter of grave importance to discuss." Daeho blinked. "You speak Korean." "I speak all Earth languages," Taeyang said, its skin shifting to a calmer blue tone. "Our translation technology makes communication simple." Daeho looked around. No neighbors in sight. No witnesses to this impossible moment. "Why are you here? Why my farm?" Taeyang gestured with its lower arms. "Not your farm specifically. You, Kang Daeho. We seek you." A chill ran down Daeho's spine. "Me? I'm just a farmer." "Before farming, you were Colonel Kang Daeho of South Korean Special Forces, decorated veteran of 3 conflicts, master of 7 Earth combat disciplines, and survivor of the mountain range incident that remains classified by your government." Daeho's mouth went dry. The mountain range incident was something he never spoke about, something that haunted his dreams. "How do you know about that?" "We have observed Earth for centuries. We monitor your conflicts, your warriors, your methods of combat." Taeyang took a step forward. "The Galactic Confederation has existed for 50,000 years. Thousands of species live in relative peace, with laws governing interstellar behavior. But there are threats. Powerful species who believe strength alone should determine galactic rule." Daeho listened, struggling to accept what he was hearing. Aliens, galactic politics. After a lifetime of seeing only human conflicts, the universe suddenly seemed much larger and more dangerous. "One such species," Taeyang continued, "is the Biol, led by General Hanul. They are physically superior to most life forms, with natural armor and extraordinary strength. Their culture revolves around martial prowess." "What does this have to do with me?" Daeho asked, though he was beginning to suspect the answer. "General Hanul has issued a challenge to Earth. After reviewing combat footage from your world, your wars, your martial arts, your military training, he has become fascinated with human fighting capabilities. He demands to face Earth's finest warrior in ceremonial combat." Daeho laughed, a sharp, disbelieving sound. And you think that's me? I'm an old man now. Whatever I was before, those days are long gone. Taeyang's skin rippled with what might have been the alien equivalent of frustration. Our analysis systems examined every human combat record. We factored physical ability, tactical thinking, adaptability, and survival instinct. Your name emerged repeatedly. There must be a mistake. Why not active soldiers, Olympic athletes, professional fighters? The Biol have fought champions from 100 worlds. Pure strength does not defeat them. Technical skill alone does not defeat them. Taeyang paused. Something in your combat history suggests you possess qualities that might succeed where others have failed. Daeho shook his head. I'm sorry you wasted your trip. I'm not interested in fighting anyone, let alone some alien super soldier. Taeyang's color darkened. Earth stands at a critical moment. The Confederation wishes to extend membership to your planet, bringing protection, knowledge, and technology beyond your imagination. General Hanul's challenge is the final obstacle. Send someone else. If Earth refuses the challenge or if Earth's champion fails dishonorably, the Biol will block Earth's admission to the Confederation for 1,000 years. Taeyang's voice became softer. During which time Earth will be considered open territory under galactic law. Daeho understood the threat. Without protection, Earth would be vulnerable to whatever came from the stars. When? He asked, resignation in his voice. You have time to prepare. The ceremonial combat will take place in 14 Earth days on the neutral planet Gaiol. You may bring one support person. Before Daeho could respond, his phone rang. He answered automatically, his eyes never leaving the alien. Dad? It was Jiwoo's voice. Are you okay? The university just called me. They're detecting a massive energy signature near your farm, some kind of anomaly. Jiwoo, Daeho said calmly. I need you to come here, right now. What's happening? It's complicated. He looked at Taeyang. I think I'm going on a trip. 3 hours later, Dr. Jiwoo Kang stood beside her father, staring up at the alien ship with professional fascination rather than fear. As one of South Korea's leading xenobiologists, a field that had been theoretical until today, she processed the situation with remarkable calm. This changes everything, she breathed, studying Taeyang with naked curiosity. Every theory, every paper I've written. Focus, Jiwoo, Daeho said. Did you hear what I told you? This alien wants me to fight some galactic warrior to protect Earth. Jiwoo turned to her father. And you're considering it? Do we have a choice? She frowned. We need to inform the government, the military. This isn't a decision you can make alone. The Confederation prefers discretion, Taeyang interrupted. Mass awareness of extraterrestrial life before proper integration causes complications. Daeho crossed his arms. If I do this, Jiwoo comes as my support person. Taeyang's skin flashed yellow briefly. Dr. Jiwoo Kang, xenobiologist. Her knowledge may indeed prove useful. This is acceptable. Jiwoo gripped her father's arm. Dad, you can't seriously? What would your mother say? Daeho asked quietly. If there was a threat to our world, and I could help but chose not to? The question hung in the air between them. Minji had been gone 7 years now, but her influence remained strong in both their lives. Finally, Jiwoo nodded. She'd tell you to protect people. She always believed that was your purpose. Daeho turned to Taeyang. I need to understand everything about this General Hanul. His strengths, weaknesses, fighting style, everything. This information will be provided during our journey, Taeyang assured him. Daeho took a deep breath and looked at his farm. The peaceful life he had built after years of violence. Something told him he might never see it again. When do we leave? Now, said Taeyang. The stars wait for no one. Space was nothing like Daeho had imagined. There were no streaking stars or loud engine sounds like in movies. Instead, Taeyang's ship moved through something the alien called fold space, which made the journey feel like sailing on a calm sea rather than rocketing through the void. Daeho stood at a large viewing window, his weathered hands pressed against the cool surface. Behind him, Jiwoo typed frantically on her tablet, recording everything she observed. "How many worlds are in the Confederation?" she asked Taeyang, who was piloting the ship with gentle movements of its 4 arms. "Currently 347 full-member worlds, with 129 provisional members," Taeyang replied. "Earth would be the 130th provisional member if accepted." Daeho turned from the window. "Tell me about General Hanul. What am I facing?" Taeyang's skin shifted to a deep purple. The Biol evolved on a high-gravity world with intense radiation. Their bodies developed natural armor, an exoskeleton that protects internal organs and enhances strength. General Hanul is considered the finest warrior among them. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing a tall figure with blue-black skin that gleamed like polished stone. The being stood nearly 8 feet tall with powerful limbs and eyes that glowed an unnatural green. "This is Hanul?" Daeho asked, studying the image carefully. "Yes. He has ruled the stellar dominion for 300 years and remains undefeated in ceremonial combat." Jiwoo dropped her tablet. 300 years? How old is he?" "The Biol lifespan averages 800 Earth years," Taeyang explained. "Hanul is considered to be in his prime at 412. Daeho circled the hologram, examining his opponent from every angle. "Why is he so interested in humans? We must seem weak compared to beings like him." Taeyang made a sound like chimes tinkling, perhaps an alien laugh. "That is precisely why. The Biol cannot understand how humans have accomplished so much despite your physical limitations. Your species has no natural weapons, no armor, average strength at best. Yet you build complex societies and frequently defeat stronger opponents in your conflicts." "So this is about curiosity?" Jiwoo asked. "Partly curiosity, partly pride," Taeyang replied. "The Biol believe strength determines worth. A species that achieves without strength challenges their entire worldview." Daeho continued studying the hologram. "What are the rules of this combat?" "The fight continues until submission, incapacitation, or death. Each combatant may use one weapon of choice." Daeho's expression darkened. "Death? It is rarely enforced," Taeyang said quickly. "Most matches end in submission once dominance is established." "Most," Daeho repeated. Jiwoo stepped between them. "What happens if my father loses?" "If he loses with honor, Earth still joins the Confederation as planned, though with less favorable terms. If he refuses to fight or displays cowardice, Earth's application will be rejected for a millennium." "And if I win?" Daeho asked. Taeyang's skin flickered with bright colors. "No representative of a non-member world has ever defeated a Biol champion. The political impact would be significant." 3 days passed aboard the ship. Daeho spent most of his time studying recordings of previous combat matches, analyzing Hanul's fighting style. Jiwoo divided her attention between helping her father and questioning Taeyang about alien biology. On the 4th day, Taeyang announced they were approaching Gyol. "Prepare yourselves," the alien said. "Gyol is a neutral world, but the Biol delegation will be waiting. First impressions matter greatly." The ship descended through pink clouds into a landscape of towering crystalline structures. The buildings caught light and broke it into rainbows that danced across the ground. Hovering vehicles moved in orderly lines between the towers, and beings of countless shapes and colors walked the wide streets below. Daeho and Jiwoo stood transfixed at the window. "It's beautiful," Jiwoo whispered. "The Gyol civilization is over 20,000 years old," Taeyang explained. "They were among the founding members of the Confederation and serve as hosts for important diplomatic events." The ship landed on a platform extending from one of the taller buildings. As the ramp lowered, Daeho straightened his shoulders and composed his face into a mask of calm confidence. Inside, his heart raced. Waiting on the platform was a delegation of tall, imposing figures. Even from a distance, Daeho recognized General Hanul. The Biol leader stood a full head taller than his companions, his exoskeleton gleaming in the strange pink light of this alien world. Taeyang led the way, with Daiho and Jiwoo following closely behind. As they approached, Daiho met Hanul's glowing green eyes without flinching. "Emissary Taeyang," Hanul said in a voice like grinding stones. "You have brought the human champion as requested." "General Hanul," Taeyang responded with a formal bow. "May I present Colonel Kang Daiho of Earth and his support, Dr. Jiwoo Kang." Hanul looked down at Daiho with what might have been disappointment. "This is Earth's greatest warrior? He is small, old, and shows signs of physical deterioration." Daiho didn't react to the insult. He had faced worse in his military days. "I am Earth's representative," he said simply. "I accept your challenge." Hanul studied him for a long moment. "The combat is in 3 days. Until then, you will be guests of the Stellar Dominion. A banquet will be held tonight to honor all participants." With that, the general turned and walked away, his entourage following. Jiwoo released a breath she'd been holding. "That went well?" Taeyang's skin had paled considerably. "Better than expected. Come, I will show you to your quarters." The banquet hall was enormous, with ceilings that soared 100 feet high and tables that could seat thousands. Representatives from dozens of worlds mingled, creating a tapestry of colors, shapes, and sounds that overwhelmed the human senses. Daiho wore a simple black suit that Taeyang had provided, while Jiwoo wore a silver dress that seemed to flow like liquid. They attracted curious stares from the assembled aliens, many of whom had never seen humans before. "Remember," Taeyang whispered as they entered, "this is not just a meal, but a political event. Everything you say and do will be judged." Daiho nodded. "I understand diplomacy. It's not so different from military negotiations." They were seated at a table near the center of the room. Across from them sat General Hanul and 3 other Byeol warriors, their exoskeletons polished to a high shine. "Colonel Kang," Hanul said, raising a crystal goblet filled with blue liquid, "I have studied the combat records of your species. Your wars are primitive but interesting. You kill each other with remarkable creativity despite your physical weaknesses." Daiho raised his own goblet. "We make do with what we have, General." "Indeed. That is what interests me. How does a species without natural advantages survive, let alone thrive? What secret do humans possess that other species do not?" "No secret," Daiho replied. "Just determination." Hanul made a sound like rocks scraping together, a laugh perhaps. "We shall see in 3 days." Throughout the meal, Jiwoo watched the Byeol carefully. As a xenobiologist, she noticed details others might miss. The way they moved, the limited range of their joints, the patterns in their behavior. She leaned close to her father. "They're exoskeletons," she whispered. "They're not just armor, they're structural. It affects how they move." Daiho nodded slightly, understanding the importance of this observation. As the banquet continued, representatives from other worlds approached their table, curious about the humans. Some offered words of encouragement to Daiho, while others seemed to study him like a specimen headed for dissection. Near the end of the evening, a small, delicate being with translucent skin approached. It bowed deeply to Daiho. "Human," it said in a musical voice, "I am Subin of the Luminar. I fought General Hanul 80 years ago. I am one of the few who survived the experience." Daiho's interest sharpened. "I would value your insights." "Subin," the alien glanced nervously at the Byeol table. "Meet me tomorrow at the Reflection Gardens. There are things you should know. Things about the general's weapon and fighting style that might help you survive." Before Daiho could respond, Subin melted back into the crowd. Across the table, Hanul watched with narrowed eyes, missing nothing. "I believe," Daiho said quietly to Jiwoo, "that things just got more complicated." Jiwoo squeezed her father's hand under the table. "We have 3 days to figure this out. 3 days to find a way for you to defeat the strongest warrior in the galaxy." Morning on Gyeol brought light that spilled through the crystal buildings in waves of color. Daiho woke early, his body still on Earth time. He spent an hour going through his exercise routine, movements from various martial arts he had mastered, over decades. His body was no longer young, but it remembered. Jiwoo found him completing a series of slow, deliberate Tai Chi forms. "You slept well?" he asked without breaking his rhythm. "Not really," she admitted. "Too much to think about." She sat on a nearby chair, watching her father move. "I've been reviewing the footage Taeyang gave us of Hanyul's previous fights. There's something important there, Dad." Daeho finished his form and turned to her. "What did you find?" "The Bai all move in patterns. Very specific patterns. Their exoskeletons limit them. They can't improvise like we can." Daeho nodded slowly. "I noticed that too. Their strength is incredible, but predictable." "Exactly." Jiwoo's eyes lit up. "Their nervous system evolved differently from ours. They have fewer neural connections, compensated by their natural armor, but it means they can't adapt quickly during combat." Daeho reached for a towel. "That helps, but it's not enough. Hanyul's strength is still far beyond mine. One direct hit would end the fight, and possibly my life. That's why we need to talk." "To Subin," Jiwoo said. "He survived fighting Hanyul. He must know something useful." The reflection gardens were aptly named. Crystal structures caught and bent light in impossible ways, creating mirror images that shifted with every step. Water flowed upward in some places, defying what the humans understood as gravity. They found Subin sitting beside a pool where fish-like creatures swam in tight circles. The alien's translucent skin revealed organs that pulsed with soft blue light. "You came," Subin said, standing to greet them. "I wasn't certain you would." "I need every advantage I can get," Daeho replied simply. Subin gestured for them to sit. "What do you know of the Byeol?" "Strong, armored, long-lived," Daeho listed. "Limited flexibility, patterns in their movements." "Yes," Subin's skin brightened. "You are observant. But there is more. The Byeol are not only physically powerful, they are technologically advanced. General Hanyul's weapon is called the Sunbeam Blade. It appears to be a simple staff, but it can generate energy that cuts through almost any material." Jiwoo frowned. "That doesn't seem fair in a ceremonial combat." "The rules allow each combatant one weapon of choice," Subin reminded her. "The blade is as much a part of Hanyul as his armor." "How did you survive fighting him?" Daeho asked. Subin's light dimmed noticeably. "I didn't fight to win. I fought to survive. There is a difference." He stretched out one delicate arm, revealing a deep scar that ran from shoulder to wrist. "I learned that submitting quickly reduces the damage." Daeho's expression hardened. "I'm not interested in a dignified loss." "You misunderstand." Subin leaned forward. "I'm not suggesting you submit. I'm suggesting you understand what truly drives Hanyul. It isn't just victory he seeks, it's knowledge." "Knowledge of what?" "The human advantage. He has studied your species for decades. He cannot comprehend how humans defeat stronger opponents. He believes you must possess some secret technique or hidden ability." Daeho considered this. "So he doesn't just want to win. He wants to understand. Precisely. And therein lies your opportunity." As they spoke, Daeho noticed a shimmer in the air nearby, a distortion that seemed out of place even in these strange gardens. He continued the conversation naturally but whispered to Jiwoo in Korean, "We're being watched. Don't react." Jiwoo maintained her composure perfectly. In Korean she replied, "Byeol spy? Maybe. Or Confederation. Let's move." They thanked Subin for his insights and began walking deeper into the gardens. The shimmer followed at a distance. "We need to find somewhere private," Daeho murmured. "I have an idea." They wandered through the crystal maze until they found a small enclosed area where sound seemed to bounce strangely off the walls. Daeho picked up a small stone and threw it suddenly at the shimmer. There was a sharp crack as it hit something, solid, followed by a flicker of light that revealed a figure. "Show yourself," Daeho commanded. The air rippled, and a new alien appeared. This one was tall and elegant, with silvery skin and eyes that changed color like opals. "Impressive," the alien said. Few species can detect our cloaking technology. Who are you? Jiwoo demanded. I am Mion, senior counselor of the Confederation Security Division. Daeho crossed his arms. Why are you spying on us? Protection, not spying, Mion corrected. There are factions who would prefer Earth remain isolated. The Bjol are not the only species uncomfortable with human potential. What do you mean? By human potential? Jiwoo asked. Mion gestured for them to sit on nearby crystal benches. The Confederation has studied Earth for centuries. Most species evolve along predictable paths, physical advantages leading to dominance leading to civilization. Humans took a different route. We adapted, Daeho said. More than adapted, Mion's eyes shifted to deep blue. You evolved for flexibility itself. Your brains form new connections constantly. You create, improvise, imagine alternatives when none seem to exist. This makes humans unpredictable. And that scares people, Jiwoo realized. Some, yes. Others see tremendous value in such abilities. The Confederation believes humans would bring unique perspectives to our alliance. Daeho's eyes narrowed. So this combat isn't just about Earth joining your Confederation. It's about proving a point about human abilities. General Hanul has been the most vocal opponent of Earth's membership, Mion admitted. This challenge is his way of demonstrating that physical superiority still matters most in the galaxy. And if I win? It would shift the balance of power significantly. The Bajol philosophy, that strength alone determines worth, would be publicly challenged. Daeho stood, pacing in the small space. I'm not interested in galactic politics. I just want to protect Earth. The two are connected, Mion said simply. Hanul will use his sunbeam blade. What weapon will you choose? Daeho looked down at his hands. No weapon. Dad, Jiwoo protested. That's suicide. No weapon? Mion echoed, clearly shocked. Hanul has never faced an unarmed opponent. It would be seen as an insult. Good, Daeho said. Let him be insulted. Let him be angry. Anger makes people, even aliens, I suspect, careless. Mion studied him carefully. You have a strategy? I'm starting to form one, Daeho admitted. But I need more information. Show me everything you have on Bajol physiology, their nervous system, their joints, their pressure points if they have any. Such information is restricted, Mion began, but Daeho cut her off. If you want Earth in your confederation, if you want me to beat Hanul, I need every advantage. No more games. After a long moment, Mion nodded. Very well. Come with me. In a secure room deep within the Confederation's embassy, Jiwoo pored over biological data while Daeho studied combat footage, frame by frame. Hours passed as they absorbed everything they could about Bajol anatomy and fighting techniques. Their exoskeleton has gaps at the joints, Jiwoo noted. Small, but they exist. And they can't see well from certain angles, Daeho added. Their peripheral vision is limited. They worked through the night, building a strategy piece by piece. At dawn, Daeho began practicing a new set of movements. Techniques cobbled together from a dozen Earth martial arts but modified for fighting a Bajol. When Taeyang came to check on them, it found Daeho moving with renewed purpose. Each motion, precise and deliberate. You've been busy, the emissary observed. Knowledge is power, Daeho replied without stopping his practice. Mion told us the truth about why Hanul challenged Earth. Taeyang's skin darkened with concern. Counselor, Mion should not have interfered. She helped us understand what's really at stake, Jiwoo said. This isn't just about Earth joining your confederation. It's about proving that different kinds of strength matter. And will you prove that? Taeyang asked Daeho directly. Daeho completed his form and stood still, breathing deeply. Tomorrow we'll find out. Outside the window, the twin suns of Gyol rose fully, bathing the crystal city in rainbow light. Somewhere in that shimmering landscape, General Hanul was preparing for combat as well, confident in his superior strength and centuries of victory. One more day, Daeho whispered. one day to prepare for the most important fight of my life. The arena of Gyol was ancient, carved from a single massive crystal. Sunlight streamed through its walls, creating rainbow patterns across the stone floor. 10,000 beings from hundreds of worlds filled the stands, their voices creating a hum of excitement that vibrated the air. Daiho stood in a small preparation room beneath the arena. He wore simple black pants and no shirt, his body marked with old scars from past battles. Jiwoo helped him stretch his muscles, while Taeyang paced nearby, skin shifting nervously through shades of purple and blue. The entire Confederation is watching, Taeyang said. Representatives from non-member worlds as well. This is the largest gathering for a ceremonial combat in 500 years. Daiho focused on his breathing. How many humans have seen this arena before me? None, Taeyang admitted. You are the first of your kind to stand here. A heavy responsibility settled on Daiho's shoulders. He was not just fighting for himself or even for Earth. He was representing humanity's first major step into a wider universe. Jiwoo gripped her father's hands. Remember what we learned. The Biol are strong but predictable. They can't improvise, like humans can. And Hanul has never faced an opponent who refused to use a weapon, Daiho added. It will confuse him. A chime sounded, echoing through the small room. It's time, Taeyang announced. Daiho hugged his daughter tightly. Whatever happens, I'm proud of you. Just come back, she whispered. The arena floor was a perfect circle, 50 meters across. Daiho entered from one side, walking calmly to the center. The alien crowd fell silent, many seeing a human in person for the first time. From the opposite entrance came General Hanul. The Biol warrior was even more imposing in his combat gear, his exoskeleton polished to a mirror shine, decorated, with symbols of past victories. In his hand he carried a staff of dark metal, the legendary Sunbeam Blade. They met in the center, where a Gyol official in flowing silver robes stood waiting. The rules are simple, the official announced, voice amplified throughout the arena. Combat continues until submission, incapacitation, or death. Each combatant may use one weapon of choice. There are no other restrictions. The official turned to Hanul. General Hanul of the Biol, do you present your weapon? Hanul raised the staff. I fight with the Sunbeam Blade, carried by my ancestors for 1,000 years. The official nodded and turned to Daiho. Colonel Kang of Earth, do you present your weapon? A murmur ran through the crowd as Daiho raised his empty hands. I fight, with no weapon but myself. Hanul's green eyes flashed with what might have been anger or confusion. You insult this combat, he growled. No, Daiho replied calmly. I honor it by bringing only what I truly am. The official looked uncomfortable, but continued. Very well. Take positions. They moved to opposite sides of the circle. The official raised a hand and then dropped it sharply. Begin! Hanul did not hesitate. He charged forward with shocking speed for his size, the Sunbeam Blade coming alive, with crackling energy. Daiho waited until the last possible moment before stepping aside, letting the Biol's momentum carry him past. The crowd gasped. No one had expected the human to avoid the first strike so easily. Hanul spun, face contorted with surprise. His second attack was more measured, a sweeping cut meant to force Daiho back. Again, the human moved just enough to avoid the blade, wasting no energy. Fight me, Hanul demanded, frustration clear in his voice. I am fighting, Daiho replied, circling carefully. Just not how you expect. For the next several minutes, the pattern continued. Hanul attacked with increasing force and speed while Daiho avoided direct confrontation. The human moved like water around stone, never opposing strength with strength. In the stands, Jiwoo watched intently, recognizing the strategy she and her father had developed. He was using techniques from Aikido, Tai Chi, and other earth martial arts that focused on redirecting force rather than meeting it directly. What is the human doing? Asked a nearby alien spectator. He only retreats. Where is his courage? Watch carefully, Jiwoo replied without taking her eyes off her father. He's not retreating, he's learning. Indeed, with each exchange, Daiho was studying Hanul's movements, timing, and patterns. The Biol was immensely strong, but, as they had discovered, limited in his range of motion and predictable in his sequences. 20 minutes into the combat, sweat poured down Daiho's body, but he remained unhurt. Hanul, though showing no physical fatigue, was growing visibly angry. His attacks became more powerful but less controlled. Stand and fight like a warrior, Hanul roared, smashing the sunbeam blade into the ground where Daiho had been standing a moment before. The floor cracked, energy rippling outward. Daiho circled back, his breathing controlled despite the exertion. A true warrior uses what he has. I have speed and flexibility. You have strength and power. Why should I fight on your terms? The question seemed to confuse Hanul. In 300 years of combat, no opponent had questioned his approach to battle. Taking advantage of the momentary hesitation, Daiho moved in for the first time. Instead of attacking, he slipped past Hanul's guard and tapped a specific point where the exoskeleton joined at the shoulder, one of the weak points Jiwoo had identified. Hanul jerked away, but Daiho had already retreated to a safe distance. What did you do? The general demanded, rolling his shoulder. I touched you, Daiho said simply. The crowd was completely silent now, fascinated by the strange combat. The human had drawn no blood, landed no significant blow, yet somehow seemed to be controlling the fight. Enraged, Hanul charged again, the sunbeam blade cutting arcs of energy through the air. Daiho ducked under one swing, stepped inside Hanul's guard and struck 3 precise points on the Biol's torso before dancing away. To everyone's shock, Hanul stumbled. His left arm hung slightly lower than before. Human trickery, he snarled. Human knowledge, Daiho corrected. Your exoskeleton has nerve junction points. Pressure in the right places disrupts the connection temporarily. Hanul roared and attacked with renewed fury. For the next hour, the combat continued. Hanul attacking with earth-shaking force, Daiho evading and occasionally striking at vulnerable points. Neither combatant could gain a decisive advantage, but slowly, the dynamic was changing. Hanul's movements grew more labored. The Biol exoskeleton, while providing incredible strength, required tremendous energy to maintain during extended combat. Daiho, though visibly exhausted, continued to move efficiently, conserving his strength. In the third hour of combat, Daiho finally saw his opportunity. Hanul, frustrated beyond reason, committed fully to an overhead strike that would have split Daiho in half. Instead of dodging, Daiho stepped forward inside the arc of the blade. He grabbed Hanul's arm and, using the general's own momentum, executed a perfect throw from Earth's judo tradition. The 8-foot Biol warrior flew through the air and crashed to the ground with enough force to shake the arena. Before he could recover, Daiho was on him, knees pinning the Biol's primary arms, fingers pressed against the nerve points at Hanul's throat. With his free hand, Daiho grabbed the fallen sunbeam blade and held it ready. The arena was absolutely silent. You could kill me now, Hanul said, voice rough with shock. I could, Daiho agreed, breathing hard. But that was never my goal. What is your goal, human? To show that there are many kinds of strength in the universe. Daiho pressed slightly harder on the nerve points, causing Hanul to wince. Do you submit? For a long moment it seemed the Biol would refuse. Then slowly he nodded. I submit to the human warrior. The official rushed forward, raising Daiho's hand. The combat is concluded. The representative of Earth is victorious. The crowd erupted, some cheering, some shouting in disbelief, many simply making sounds of amazement. In the 3,000-year history of the Confederation, no provisionary world had ever defeated a full member's champion, let alone the legendary General Hanul. Daiho, exhausted beyond words, looked up to find Jiwoo pushing through officials. To reach him, her face shone with tears and pride. You did it, she whispered as she helped him stand. You actually did it. We did it, he corrected, leaning heavily on her shoulder. Your knowledge made victory possible. Together they faced the roaring crowd, the first humans to represent Earth on the galactic stage, and now, improbably, heroes. High above in the diplomatic viewing box, Mion turned to her fellow counselors. I believe, she said with quiet satisfaction, that the vote on Earth's admission will be very interesting indeed. Deho woke in a medical chamber, his body floating in a warm blue gel that eased his pain. The fight had taken more from him than he'd let anyone see. 3 cracked ribs, severe muscle strain, and exhaustion that went bone deep. At 53, he was too old for 3-hour battles with alien warriors. The gel rippled as Jiwoo entered the room. She wore formal diplomatic clothes, a silver suit with the new Earth emblem on the shoulder. How are you feeling? She asked, checking the medical displays. Like I got hit by a truck, Deho admitted. But I'll live. How long was I out? Just a day. She helped him sit up as the gel drained away. A lot has happened. The Confederation Council held an emergency session after your victory. Deho reached for a towel. Good news or bad? Incredible news. Jiwoo's face broke into a wide smile. Earth has been granted full membership, not provisional, with immediate effect. It's unprecedented. Deho blinked in surprise. Because of one fight? Not just the fight. It's what the fight represented. Mion says the council was impressed by how you won, using intelligence and adaptability rather than force. She handed him a clean set of clothes. And there's more. You have a visitor. Who? General Hanul. Deho paused in the middle of putting on his shirt. What does he want? He wouldn't say. Only that he needs to speak with you before the formal ceremony tonight. Deho found Hanul waiting in a garden terrace overlooking the Crystal City. The Biol warrior looked different, less imposing somehow, more thoughtful. His exoskeleton still gleamed, but the aggressive posture was gone. Colonel Kang, Hanul said, inclining his head slightly. General, Deho replied with equal respect. You are recovering well? Well enough. Your Confederation medicine works wonders. Hanul gestured to a bench, and they both sat. An odd pair, the massive alien warrior and the ordinary-looking human. I have fought 347 ceremonial combats, Hanul said after a moment of silence. I have defeated warriors from worlds you cannot imagine, beings with natural weapons that would terrify your people, species that can move faster than your eye can follow. Deho listened quietly. Yet none taught me what you did yesterday. Hanul turned to face him directly. I must understand. How did a physically inferior being defeat me? There was no arrogance in the question, only genuine curiosity. Deho considered his answer carefully. Humans evolved without natural advantages. No claws, no armor, no special abilities. We survived through adaptability. Many species adapt. Not like us, Deho said. Our greatest strength is here. He tapped his temple. Humans rarely defeat opponents the same way twice. We learn, change tactics, try new approaches until we find what works. But such flexibility requires uncertainty, Deho finished for him. We live with it constantly. Every human grows up knowing they might face stronger enemies. So we develop thousands of fighting styles, strategies, approaches. Hanul was silent, processing this. Finally, he said, The Biol believe strength alone determines worth. This has been our way for millennia. There are many kinds of strength, Deho replied. Physical strength is just one. Mental flexibility, emotional resilience, creative thinking, these are strengths too. These concepts are difficult for my people. But not impossible to learn, Deho suggested. Hanul considered this. Perhaps not. He stood suddenly. I have made a decision. I wish to formally request that you establish a cultural exchange program between Earth and the Stellar Dominion. Deho rose to his feet, surprised. You want to learn from humans? I want our peoples to learn from each other. Hanul's green eyes glowed with intensity. For the first time in 300 years, I have experienced something new. It is not unpleasant. The ceremony hall of the Confederation gleamed with light from 1,000 worlds. Representatives filled the vast chamber, their diverse forms creating a living tapestry of galactic life. At the center stood a raised platform where the High Council, 12 beings from the oldest member worlds, presided. Daeho and Jiwoo walked down the central aisle, followed by Taeyang and, surprisingly, General Hanul. The crowd murmured at this unprecedented pairing. Mion met them at the platform. "Are you ready, Colonel Kang? You will speak for Earth today." Daeho nodded, though his heart raced. He had faced combat many times, but diplomacy was new territory. The High Council leader, an ancient being with crystalline skin, raised a hand for silence. "Today marks a historic moment in Confederation history," the leader announced. "Never before has a world moved directly to full membership status without the provisional period. Yet the Council has voted unanimously to grant this honor to Earth." Cheers and sounds of approval filled the hall, though Daeho noticed some delegates remained silent. "Colonel Kang Daeho, as Earth's representative, please address the assembly." Daeho stepped forward, feeling the weight of billions of human lives who knew nothing of this moment. One day soon, Earth would learn it was not alone in the universe. His words now would help shape that future. "Honored Council, distinguished representatives," he began, his voice steady. "I stand before you not as a warrior, but as a simple man who found himself in extraordinary circumstances. My victory in the arena was not mine alone. It represents the human spirit that has guided us through countless challenges." He looked out at the alien faces watching him intently. "Humans have much to learn from the Confederation. Your technologies, your sciences, your ancient wisdom, these are treasures we hope to study and respect. But perhaps we have something to offer as well." Daeho glanced at Hanul, who nodded slightly. "General Hanul and I have agreed to establish a cultural exchange between Earth and the Stellar Dominion. This program will share human adaptability and creativity while we learn from Bial's strength and tradition. It is a small first step toward true understanding between very different peoples." The announcement sent whispers through the crowd. The Bial had never sought cultural exchange with any species. Earth accepts full membership in the Galactic Confederation with gratitude and commitment. "We pledge to uphold your laws, respect your traditions, and contribute our unique perspective to this grand alliance of worlds." As Daeho finished, the chamber erupted in approval. The council leader presented him with a crystal orb, Earth's formal recognition as a member world. Later at the reception, Jiwoo found her father standing alone on a balcony, looking up at the unfamiliar stars. "Thinking about home?" she asked, joining him. "Thinking about everything that's about to change," he replied. "Earth will never be the same once this becomes public knowledge." "Change isn't always bad." She rested her head on his shoulder like she used to as a child. "Mom would have loved this, you know. Seeing other worlds, meeting new species, she always said you were meant for something important." Daeho smiled sadly. "I wish she could have seen it." "Colonel Kang," called a voice from the doorway. They turned to see General Hanul approaching. "The Council requests your presence. They wish to discuss the details of Earth's introduction to the galactic community." Daeho nodded. "I'll be right there." As Hanul withdrew, Jiwoo squeezed her father's hand. "Ready to change human history forever?" "Not really," Daeho admitted with a small smile. "But that's the human way, isn't it? Facing the impossible and somehow finding a path forward." Together they walked back into the reception, where representatives from 100 worlds waited to meet the humans who had proven that the strongest warrior in the galaxy could be defeated not by superior force, but by adaptability, creativity, and the unique resilience of the human spirit. 1 year later, Daeho stood before a class of alien students in the newly established Earth Embassy on Giol. Beings from 20 worlds watched as he demonstrated a simple Tai Chi movement. "The key is not strength," he explained, "but balance. Not force, but flow." Among his students, sitting cross-legged in the front row, was General Hanul himself. The Buell warrior followed the movement with careful precision, his once rigid body learning new patterns. From the doorway, Jiwoo watched with pride. In the year since her father's victory, Earth had begun its careful integration into galactic society. Select human representatives now trained at the Confederation Academy, while alien delegates secretly visited Earth to prepare for the eventual public announcement. As Daeho completed the form, Hanul raised a hand. "Teacher," he said, using the human title with respect. "I believe I understand now what you meant about water flowing around stone." Daeho smiled. Perhaps the greatest victory was not the combat itself, but what came after, teaching Ancient species that true strength comes not from power alone, but from growth, change, and the courage to learn new ways. The strongest warrior in the galaxy had challenged a human, and in losing, had gained something far more valuable than another: victory.